Hi everyone, welcome back to day 17 of NaPoWriMo 2021, 30 poems in 30 days. If you're just joining, I am Nancy Lynée Wu of Surprise the Line, and I have a great poetry prompt here for you today, as well as a few we've already been doing. You can always check the YouTube archives. So let's get started sharing a model text. Okay, so this is a poem called Winter, Ithaca by Brynn Saito. Tonight I walk out into winter's fingers, stepping from one stone and on to another, the stones receding into darkness as I leave them. Smoke from a home fire roams the air. Snow comes. My shoulders go soft, two blades loosening into the spine. And for once, I'm a witness, not a careless warrior who watches the leaves as they turn and die. And John is leaving. Lynn is lying about her life, so I can't help her. I'm miles away, so I can't hold her or hold her down. But what is the cold compared to the fire? Where does the rage go? The roads packed with snow. Black tea steams between my hands, and I drink it down until it burns. All right. Okay, I'm just going to say a quick note about this poem. I love it, and I've been thinking about why it has stuck with me all these years. There's so many great poems. It's from her book, Palace of Contemplating Departure. And this is relevant to the prompt, I swear. I think this poem is so tight and neat, yet at the same time, very kind of wild. And it's very brief and fragmented, yet cohesive. And it's sort of slow burning and also fiery. So it's like so many combinations of elements in this poem, which is why it hasn't left me. But anyway, so I just wanted to point that out because I think it's one of those really just beautiful, slow burning poems. And so it's stuck with me. So before we get into our writing, just like usual, I'll read you a quick mantra for here on day 17, looking at a poem by Brynn Saito called Winter, Ithaca. As we get ready for our writing today, just hear these words and feel them as much as you can. I am here and present with my experiences. I'm grounded and open. I have unlimited access to an infinite flow of creativity always around me. Whatever happens on these pages is what's meant to happen. I'm not judging myself or my writing, I'm just writing. I have everything I need to begin already inside of me. So I'm settling in and I'm ready to write. Okay, so if you were with me yesterday, I was talking about slowing down our minds to observe our consciousness. And so I'm going to give you something a little different today than what I usually do. Normally, if you've been with me, I call these quick writes. I actually want to invite you to do a slow write today. What I mean by that is maybe focus your attention on each word as it is coming out of your pen or your fingertips on the keyboard and watch yourself as you write the words. Just see what happens. That's an invitation. You don't have to follow it if you don't want to. But here's the idea. Write these stems. They're called stems. I learned this recently. I've been doing it for a while. I just found a name for it. When you give sort of the beginning of a sentence and then leave it for you to fill in. So there's 4 stems here. And go ahead and just fill them in however you would like right now. There's no wrong answer. Again, no judgment. So feeling into yourself today, where you are, your physical location, your body, your season. Uh, go ahead and play with that. And then if you want to do 3 minutes, that's great. Otherwise, when you feel done, go ahead and come back for the next step. All right, next, let's just put 2 minutes on the clock and write down questions in your mind right now, whatever they are. They could be related to your stems, they could be unrelated, and they can even be unrelated to each other. They can be simple, silly questions, they can be big, existential questions, whatever you want. Again, thinking sort of about playing with slow writing and fast writing, just see how that feels, okay? And then come back. All right, so there's only 3 steps today because I'm inviting you to write a poem of fragments. So, thinking about what I love about this poem, Winter Ithaca, each moment is sort of its own fragment. And so somehow the poem works together. I think because there's a lot of grounding in it, there is a lot of scale between where the poet is speaking from in a particular location, related to people in another location, related to there's a sense of seasonality and snow. So there's the hot of the cup and the mug. So everything that you know about poetry, which is to bring in sensory detail, do that as much as you can and want to. And you can use your stems and your questions from what you just did as your starting points. So, again, these fragments don't need to be related. What you've kind of started, you can see if you can put each sort of fragment together in an order that you feel is interesting, whatever that might be for you. Again, thinking about poetic logic over narrative or linear logic. So, you don't have to worry about in time, what came first chronologically, but just thinking about each moment, each fragment as a snapshot in time and space, and see if you can practice going slow. So, this can be a short poem, but think about being very intentional with your word choices as you go and just see how that feels. And you might want to even, as you're writing, you might sometimes, as I slow write, you cross a word out and make a different word like that. You could totally do that. You probably already, some of you already know that you could do that. But if you haven't been practicing with that, that can be like you're revising sort of as you go to find the most juicy or appropriate or interesting word for that moment. And again, take your stems, add as you see fit, let your imagination come onto the page, and really think about your current season and location. So again, grounding into your moment today. You could title your poem like Brynn Saito did with hers, with your season and your location. So if it were me, it would be like, okay, spring, Long Beach. I don't know, something like that. But go ahead and have fun with your fragments and remember that everyone's writing process is different. And this is simply, I'm inviting you to do a practice of the slow down, uh, slow writing and see what you come up with. So have fun with that. Hope you enjoy. Okay, and so just a brief little moment with the poet. So I have read the book, The Palace of Contemplating Departure. I read it a few years ago, and I really want to return to it. What I can say about my experience with this book is that uh, it's very imagistic and it's very dreamy. Um, and the reason why I remember this one poem in particular, Winter Ithaca, is the opening lines. I walk into winter's fingers, stepping from one stone and onto another, the stones receding into darkness as I leave them. That image is one of those that for me has just imprinted in my mind. I had a really strong reaction to that. I had this whole like my own visionary experience with that moment and learning about Brynn Saito as a poet. um, I've learned that she's kind of a mystic, I think. Like, she has a background in religious studies, I found out. And she has done a lot of really interesting things. So, by the way, this book was the winner of the Benjamin Saltman Award. And she's had a new book since then, which was 2013, called Power Made Us Swoon. I want to put that on my list. I haven't read it yet. But she's like, I'm like, oh, I feel like I want to be friends with her. She's like doing all these cool projects, an online project called Dear with an M dash. She has some co-authoring chapbooks, which I think is really cool. I've been thinking about what it would be like to co-author a book with someone. Um, and she teaches at Cal State Fresno. She was a Kundiman Fellow, which, if you don't know, is a fellowship for Asian American writers. So Brynn Saito is, I found it somewhere, fourth generation Japanese American and Korean American. Okay, so that's interesting. I consider myself third generation Chinese American. So obviously I'm Asian American, and I don't know if anyone has been thinking like, Nancy, why haven't you brought in any Asian American poets yet? I have no idea if anyone is thinking that, but just for my process, I'm just pulling poems as they come to me, as I feel them. This one felt like a natural progression from yesterday's poem. So anyway, she seems really freaking cool and has done some other things. But what I feel impacted by, and I've been talking a lot about permission, reading other poets and feeling like I have permission to do things once I see sort of a model. I'm a mystic all the way. Like, I'm a reluctant mystic. And I remember this quote. I could not find the source of it online, but I swear I wrote it down, that it was attributed to Saito. And it says, uh, sometimes mystics bear the wild for years before coming to terms with it. So learning about her background, is very interesting to me, because I don't know if she would call herself a mystic poet, but I definitely read a lot of mysticism in here. I mean, a lot of poets. I feel like kind of poetry is mystical in general, but anyway, in like a very precise way, I'm very interested in modern mystic poetry. And I think that when I first read this book, I wasn't quite ready for it, based off of what I had already been exposed to. But now I think I'm ready to dive in even deeper. So I am very excited to read more of Sato's work. And I hope that this might be an introduction to her for you if you are not already familiar. And okay, well, that's what I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed. As always, please feel free to let me know what you think of the prompts and the poems in the comments, and like and subscribe and all that. Okay, have a good day.